Yeah, welcome everybody. This is, I think, our fourth AMA in this server, and yeah, we're here to introduce OnlyBurns and Cyril from that to talk about how collective finance as well as Vertec will be benefiting from OnlyBurns and what they're doing. I'm Chrome, also known as Monkey, also known as Jacob, and yeah, I'll kick it off to one of the other guys.
Hey guys, I'm Doc. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot going on, as Monkey said this evening. But this will be an important one because there's some great partnerships, and OnlyBurns, their pre-sale is live now. So Cyril will be able to give some great information. We've been fortunate enough to hear it already. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us. I appreciate the warm intro. Looking forward to having a good little chit chat here over the next hour, maybe a little bit less. We'll see. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know a lot going on today between Sphere launching Dyson, Vertec launching their decks, OnlyBurns launching into pre-sale. It's just a very busy day all around.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely don't want to take up too much of your time. You're definitely, busy with all the stuff going on. But thank you for taking out the time to come here and talk to our community. This will be recorded, posted up on YouTube for people that can't make the whole thing. So yeah, we can probably get right into it. Talk a little bit about collective finance here and what we're doing. So collective finance is obviously a DeFi protocol, and we're launching on the Binance Smart Chain. And our main value proposition is to offer easy access to over-collateralized commodity representations that will be hard pegged to those assets, so like gold, diamonds, and silver. And we're going to be making sure to over-collateralize those at all times from 105 to 115%, just depending on what we have. And yeah, so that's basically what we're here to do, is provide a way for users all over the world to gain access to holds and, gain the exposure to commodities like gold and silver, precious metals stuff, and be able to earn yield on those on top of that. So gaining exposure at all times, you don't have to go through a regular broker and pay extremely large fees, or trade only on weekdays, things like that. This will be 24/7, 365 accessible. And yeah, that's the main value proposition of collective finance. Excited to have you on here to talk about OnlyBurns and how that's going to help us with our native token in our project. And yeah, I'll kick it off to you, Cyril.
Yeah, it sounds great. I like what you guys are doing. For those who have known me for a while, they know I do a lot of trading on commodities, especially on the Forex market. And silver was very kind to me in the month of December. So yeah, I think I actually have an open trade on silver right now. So yeah, love commodities, and I've never liked the fact that they stop over the weekend. So being able to always trade them is great. Yeah, so OnlyBurns. Let's talk a little bit about the value that OnlyBurns brings to the DeFi space. And, then after we talk about that, we can kind of dig into a little bit about my background, team, etc. So the value add that OnlyBurns brings is we allow other ecosystems to leverage our ecosystem to create price appreciation and supply deflation on their tokens or their NFTs. And the way we accomplish that is through the burn wars. So let's talk about how we actually accomplish that. So we have a buy tax on our token, and it is collected in BUSD, not our native token. You ever been in a protocol that had a tax on their token, and anytime they decided to use some of the money in their treasury, they had to sell the tokens, and it was a giant red candle on their chart? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I have too. I didn't like it, so we made sure that we didn't have to do that. Through leveraging our relationship with Kyoto, we were able to institute a smart contract routing that collects the tax in the BUSD prior to the transaction taking place. This way, we don't have to sell or put sell pressure on the OBURN token in order to utilize those funds that are collected. Now, all purchase volume on OBURN throughout the entire month feeds into a buyback and burn pot. Meanwhile, throughout the month, as that pot is growing larger, projects are able to use OBURN and their communities are able to use OBURN to vote for the project that they want to see win the buyback and burn. Those votes are displayed on the live leaderboard, and the top 5 projects at the end of each month's voting period receive a buyback and burn from OnlyBurns. This causes price appreciation on their tokens, and then of course when we burn it, it deflates the supply. So it's really a win-win proposition. You're getting that price appreciation, you're having your supply reduced, you are, having a lot of community involvement and engagement as you're competing in these burn wars. And it's great marketing too. I mean, who doesn't want to be able to say, look, our token just went up, 35% because, we got a buyback and burn from OnlyBurns,
Real quick, would you go over, I guess, how a participant would, just like a regular everyday participant would enter your ecosystem and, burn and vote for a project?
Yeah, as a community or a protocol?
Either or.
Okay. Yeah. So as a community member of a protocol that you want to see receive a buyback and burn, you would buy some OBURN token, and then you would go to the Burn Vote app, which goes live when we live launch. That'll be on our website. And then you would allocate however much OBURN you want to back your vote with. This is what gives your vote weight. The OBURN that you're allocating to that vote is then burnt. The reason for this is, let's say you have a protocol that buys in, 50 grand worth during the pre-sale. If it was not burnt when they used it for voting, they would then be able to essentially dominate every single burn vote from there on out, which wouldn't really be fair to other people, right? So, yeah, that is how you utilize your OBURN to vote, and that's what protocols are doing to utilize their OBURN to vote as well. And that's why we had quite a few protocols sign up to hop into our pre-sale. That way they could lock in their voting weight for the mega buyback and burn event we're doing at the end of February. We put 50 grand into the initial buyback and burn pot. That's pretty hefty.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something worth voting for. Yeah.
Cyril, can you comment a little bit, because I think this is a really important concept for maybe the bigger protocols versus a protocol like us that is just going to be coming out, and we know we're going to be participating in the pre-sale, but we might have a different strategy than, say, one of the bigger protocols. Can you talk about how you guys sort of are able to promote that equality between the different sizes, and you don't have to be the biggest kid on the block to make out okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So look at it this way. If a smaller protocol buys, we'll just use, this as an example. Let's say a smaller protocol buys 5,000, right? Clearly, they're not going to be able to compete with someone who's buying 30,000, right? Not during the initial, buyback and burn event for February. But let the big protocols fire off all their ammo. Let them fight it out for that first buyback and burn. Meanwhile, the price of the token is going up because communities and protocols are buying it and then burning it, right? That's that forced price appreciation aspect to our token. And then come March, when they're sitting there having to buy the token at 3x the previous price, right? Your tokens have already appreciated in price. So now you've got $20,000 worth of voting weight. They would have to purchase 20 grand in order to even be able to compete with you. Give it another month, price goes higher, now you have an even heavier voting weight. And on top of that, let's say you grabbed, your pre-sale tokens to lock in your initial allocation of OBURN to use for voting. In March, we have some NFTs coming out that boost the weight of your vote. And I'll dive into those guys here in a minute. But let's say you have, you've got your $5 grand that you bought during pre-sale worth of OBURN that gets you 1.25 billion OBURN tokens. Then let's say the token price 3x's. Now it would cost 20 grand to get that same amount. Your protocol now has 20 grand worth of voting power. You go grab yourself a tier 3 NFT when they go live for minting for $400. That doubles your voting weight. So now you have $40,000 worth of voting weight, right? So it's this cool little mechanism, and we're releasing those NFTs in stages, and there's not a lot of them, right? We wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be oversaturation in the voting market for those NFTs. And but we're releasing them in state. Sorry, it's been a very long day. We're releasing those in stages. That way, as the price is creeping up and as the demand is rising, you're then able to, as a smaller protocol, grab one of those guys and essentially double the weight of your vote. And you can be clever with it too. You could have that NFT in your treasury wallet, right? And any of your community members, let's say you've got 1,000 community members and they each want to take $50 worth of OBurn and use it to vote for collective. They could, instead of burning it themselves for that vote, they could send that $50 worth of OBurn to your treasury wallet that has that NFT, and then you do the vote. This would double the vote weight of your entire community. And for smaller protocols, it's definitely the way to go.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and so let me briefly break down kind of the tokenomics for the OnlyBurn ecosystem, and then we could talk about the NFTs and how the treasury mechanic goes live and what that means for the token and our holders.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super curious.
Yeah. So the basics of the tokenomics is very simple. It is hyperdeflationary, and the reason why we say hyperdeflationary is because it's deflating from two different angles. You have the deflation caused by protocols buying the token and then burning it to vote and their communities. So that's pouring additional BUSD into the LP, taking those tokens out, and since they're burnt, they can never be sold again. So that's a permanent increase. Then there is also a 10% sell burn. So if someone sells 1,000 OBurn, they get paid for 900 of them, and 100 of them go straight to the dead wallet. So you have a multi-directional deflationary aspect for our OBurn token. And of course, there is that 10% buy tax, and that's collected as the BUSD, which powers the whole protocol. Now, that's the very simple gist of our tokenomics. We wanted to make sure that our main token was easy to understand, easy to appreciate, and beauty of simplicity. There's a lot of... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's awesome. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, when you have all these tokens where they're like, stake here, compound this, fractionalize this, do that, do this, and you're like, well, hold on a second, slow your roll. What do I need to do? Right? Yeah. We keep it simple. There are some additional mechanics that are coming in the future, but we're introducing those one step at a time. That way we're not hitting people with too much right out of the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to give yourself some leeway too down the line.
Oh yeah, because you might have a really killer idea that you think works great in theory, but then the winds of DeFi shift as they often do, and you need to rethink your approach, right?
Yeah, it'll be funny because 1 month something is the craze, and then the next month something else is the craze, and kind of moves in like patterns or waves, go from one thing to the next.
Oh yeah, I've been in DeFi for a little over 4 years now, and last year was the rebase craze, whether they were reverse rebases or multiple rebases, right? They were slicing it so many different directions. And then the year before that was the meme coin era, right? So you see it roll through its different phases, its different hype trains and mechanisms, and the great news is our ecosystem is applicable to any, so it really doesn't matter whether it's a rebase protocol or a meme token. They want to use our ecosystem, they're more than welcome to. So, and Yeah, so that's the basic nature of our token. There's a lot of complicated stuff that goes on behind the scenes in regards to slowly injecting additional liquidity into the ecosystem by pairing fresh BUSD with tokens and adding it to LP to deepen the liquidity, because the last thing you want is to have a deflationary token go parabolic, right? Anytime you see a token go parabolic on its charts, what always happens afterwards? Dump.
Yeah, there's always sell pressure.
Right. And so to soften the parabola, due to the fact we are deflationary by nature, and there's a lot more tokens going out of the LP than there are going into the LP, we have the bulk of our tokens held in reserves so that we can take fresh revenue from our treasury, pair the OBURN token with BUSD, add it to the LP, which slows down the parabola into a nice healthy growth curve instead.
Nice. No, yeah, that's a great system.
Thank you. Now let's talk about the NFTs, right? Because that's usually when people hear, "Oh, you mean my votes can count for more?" Their ears count.
Yeah, I mean that 2x voting power. Let me hear more about that.
Yes, indeed. So here's an example of the Tier 1 NFT. I'm posting it in AMA questions for you guys.
Great, thank you.
So, Tier 1, there is only 1,000 of those in total. That's all there will ever be. Now, these guys, during Stage 1 minting, they're relatively cheap. They're $100. There's 1,000 of them in total. During Stage 1, 33% of the supply will be available. Let me see if I have another example. There I go. Perfect. I can never tell what I have on this computer or the other computer. Too many computers. But yeah, so those are what they look like. Now, these guys, if you have one in your wallet, when you go to do a burn vote, it will boost your vote count by 25%. So if you're burning 100 OBURN, it will count as 125. And I kind of made my dev cry a little bit when I told him that he not only had to build a leaderboard that updated in real time based off of information posted to the blockchain, but also could be variable based off of what they had in their wallet.
Oh boy.
He was a little sad, but yeah, he'll be okay.
He'll make it through it. He's got it.
Oh yeah. I have full faith in him. He's got it. So those are the Tier 1 NFTs, and I'm going to share 3 examples of the Tier 3 NFTs. Or sorry, Tier 2 NFTs. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So these are some of the Tier 2 NFTs. Now, there are only 500 of these, and there will only ever be 500 of these. Same deal. During the first stage of minting, only 33% of the supply will be available. These guys, during Stage 1, are 250 apiece, and they boost your vote weight by 50%. So every 100 OBURN you'd be using to vote for collective would count as 150 on the leaderboard. So.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Where's this guy? Okay, so yes, they do also get treasury revenue, but we'll get to that here in a minute.
Going too fast. Yeah, too quick.
Hey, it's exciting stuff, right? So let's see. All right, these. Sorry, I'm just trying to decide which ones I want to grab for the teaser here. There we go. We'll grab these guys. All right, give it a second to upload because I'm currently uploading 12.5 megabytes to your Discord room.
Oh no.
So, the Tier 3 NFTs are fully 3D modeled, and they are currently in the process of going through the animation stage. They will rotate around like the actual NFT. When you're viewing them on OpenSea or in your wallet, they will rotate around. So you can appreciate the detail from all angles.
And I remember you said something before about who are the people that designed these NFTs. Yes.
I did talk with you guys about that. So we hired a company that creates 2D and 3D digital assets for AAA games. They worked on Cyberpunk 2077, and they worked on The Last of Us. They work closely with Animus Labs, which, if you are big into gaming, you know who those guys are. So,
That's extremely cool. That's like super awesome.
Thank you. We're very pleased with the art. And see, I'm a big believer in there are experts who know their stuff, let them do their stuff. So when they asked me what I wanted for the different tiers, I said, make the first one a human, give them fire, make the second one, fire related, I guess, and then make the third one like a total badass fire related. And they were like, okay.
Great description. Yeah, we got it.
I told them, I trust you. You impress me. And they said, okay, we'll do that. Oh my God, dude, the Blender file in and of itself is 32 gigabytes.
It's a big NFT. But you're gonna have fun hosting all of those on a place to host those images.
Well, that's for the main Blender file, which contains all of the actual information for the 3D model and the texturing. The NFTs themselves, once they go through the animation, it's a simple animation, right? So those will be quick with loading, and they should load very quickly on pretty much any internet connection, since it's simply an animation.
Nice, that's good to hear.
Yeah. It just sucks transferring that Blender file over to the animation guy. But yeah, so those are the NFTs. But let me tell you, the tier 3, there's only 250 of them. That's all there will ever be. During stage 1 minting, there's only 85 available. These guys, during stage 1, they're $400 a piece. Stage 2, which is the only the tier 3, since there's so few of them, they only get 2 stages, not 3 like the other 2 tiers. But stage 2, they'll cap out at 500 each. So being able to double your vote weight for a mere $500, that's definitely a good value add.
Yeah, you guys are marketing that pretty well, I gotta say.
So they look amazing. I agree. I mean, they're making me smile. I love it how they look different in the different tiers too. Can you go into a little more, just because I think even I'm curious too, about when the NFTs come out, how you'll be able to acquire them? Is there anything required? Do you have to be a token holder? How does that process work, or how is it going to work?
Yeah, so the process is fairly straightforward. For the NFTs, you don't have to own OBurn in order to mint them. So protocols who may be looking at getting into OBurn and leveraging our ecosystem, or even art collectors who are after the sick art. And by the way, I just uploaded a full-size one. Make sure you open it in your browser and hit zoom in to appreciate the detail.
That I just looked at that, actually. I gotta say, that is crazy. They are extremely detailed, like to the T, all the way down.
Thank you. So back to Doc's question. The process for that is there will be, for stage 1 and stage 1 only, there will be a whitelist phase. And the first 20 protocols that committed 10K to our pre-sale and then purchased that 10K, they actually receive a free tier 3 NFT. But once those come out in March. Now, of course, moving into March, we did not want to release them in February when everyone is competing over that first mega buyback and burn. We wanted to keep the playing field as even as possible. So those will be out in March. Exact date will be specified closer to the time. Again, it all depends on how long animating those guys takes. That's really the only holdup. I have all of tier 1 and all of tier 2, all of the NFT art generated for those, as well as the metadata. So it's just a matter of the tier 3s, of course, take the longest, simply due to the sheer intensity that goes into making those guys everything that they are.
Yeah, 100%. Quick question: what kind of tokens are you going to be able to use to buy/mint these NFTs?
BUSD.
Cool.
Yep, we're keeping that because I have seen protocols go through a raise, and they were doing a raise in BNB, and they were like, okay, cool, their soft cap is 300K or whatever, we got to hit that. They hit that, and then like, all right, cool, we can launch, and then BNB falls off a cliff, right?
Yep.
So all of our pre-sales or mints or even what we're pairing to is BUSD. We wanted to ensure that our price is our price. Our mint cost is our mint cost, because how many other times during the bull market you see a protocol set, oh, it's going to be 0.05 ETH, that's $100 to mint. And then ETH goes on a run and that 0.05 winds up costing you $200, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, that's a big time issue I've seen with some other mints, and obviously just the price discrepancy. Like, yeah, you could have BNB at 300 yesterday, but then it could go to like 285 tomorrow, and you just lost a bunch of money right there.
Yeah, exactly. And, so that's why we just felt BUSD for everything was key, right?
Yep, we definitely agree. It's all about the stables, really, especially for, what you're trying to do and provide like stable, if you're trying to provide something stable, you want to take stables.
Exactly. And, so the NFTs, the money raised from the sales of those is what goes to kickstart our treasury mechanic. So let's talk a little bit about that and what the treasury mechanic means. So, first, let me make sure I have my fancy dancy spreadsheet up. There we go. Cool. So our treasury, when the NFT sales are completed, should be right around $1 million in our treasury as BUSD. Now, this treasury, of course, is separate from the Burn Fund wallet because the Burn Fund wallet is powered by the purchase volume on the OBURN token itself. We do pre-seed the Burn wallet with funds at the beginning of the month. That way there's something there for protocols to already start fighting over. Now, obviously, we pre-seeded February with a pretty big amount. March, we're not going to pre-seed it with quite that much, but because you have the entire month of March for buy volume to add to that pot, you'll see, again, across all these communities getting involved, if they all wind up buying about 500,000 worth over the course of the entire month, well, it's another $50,000 buyback and burn pot by the end of the month, right? So, but our treasury mechanic, that is farming in outside of our ecosystem in various methods ranging from stablecoin farming to concentrated liquidity strategies on Uniswap and QuickSwap v3, which generates a very tasty APR just due to the nature of how that works. If you're not familiar with those like particular strategies, don't feel ashamed. It's very high level DeFi stuff that not a lot of people are even aware exists, but it allows you to capture a whole heck of a lot more of the fees from trading volume on Uniswap and QuickSwap. So it generates a much healthier, happier APR as a result. We're also going to be allocating a small percentage of that treasury towards a couple of trading bots that we have been testing out. I've been testing some out with my own personal funds. It's a highly tweaked version, but this is the treasury report from that one of the particular bots that I've been using over the last month. That was for the month of January. It yielded 57.72%. Now, obviously, that's great, but bots have their up months, they have their down months, which is why we would only allocate a small percentage towards that, and we would pull those profits every single month. So
Nice.
yeah. But what do we do with this revenue? How is it broken down, right? 30% of all of the revenue our main treasury generates every month is used to purchase the OBURN token back from the liquidity pool at the start of the month. The reason for this is not only does it create forced price appreciation on the OBURN token because it's as if you have additional people buying into the ecosystem, but it precedes the burn wallet with funds because the treasury is not exempt from the taxes. So of course, 10% of the purchase is collected as BUSD tax and then filtered over to the burn fund wallet. So it's a double whammy there. Price appreciation on the OBURN token, making it more expensive, and gives projects funds to start fighting over. Another 30% of the treasury revenue is utilized to then pair the OBURN that we just purchased with fresh BUSD and add it back to the liquidity pool to deepen liquidity, thus slowing that price parabola we were talking about earlier.
Damn.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's a good explanation. No, that was awesome. That was really well laid out. That's really cool. I like how you guys have that all set up, and yeah, it's a good focus.
Thank you. Yeah, we're taking 60% of all the revenue it generates and pouring it back into the OBURN ecosystem. And on top of that, another 14% of the revenue, so now we're at 74%, is distributed equally across the NFT tiers. So 4.62% towards tier 1, split across 1,000 NFTs, 4.62% distributed to tier 2 across 500 NFTs, and then 4.62% distributed to tier 3 across 250 NFTs.
Nice. That's awesome.
I need to grab like 10 of those, the best tier.
Right. Yeah,
Good luck.
we're already talking right now. Okay, how can we get all these NFTs for ourselves?
Well, don't sleep on tier 1. That's all I'm going to say. Don't sleep on that. Because
even tier 2s looks pretty good too. The 50%, like, I mean, yeah, even that 50% bonus on your voting weight and like some of the revenue from that shit, like, sounds good.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then what of the last 26% of our treasury revenue? What does that go to? I'm sure everyone's like, okay, that's what powers the team, right? Nope. So 14% of that goes towards compound growth for the treasury. 2% goes towards purchasing the token Sphere back out of their liquidity pool due to a partnership we have with them. And then we stake that Sphere to generate yield in blue chips for our treasury, blue chip cryptos. So it's another compounding revenue stream for our treasury. And then the final 10%. That is what is allocated towards team salaries, and that goes towards paying my project outreach team, mods in our Discords, hiring additional developers. Both myself and our main dev, Sam Slavinsky, we're both in a very good spot in life, so we are choosing to pour as much of the treasury revenue back into the ecosystem to benefit our holders, the NFT holders, and the growth aspect of our token, for maybe people who are looking to hold it long-term speculatively, or, you know, even if they're just trying to flip it, that's okay. We'll accept you burning our supply for us. That's cool.
Yeah, no, you guys have tons of stuff set up, and it's going to be very interesting. There's going to be, I feel like, more than just, you know, burning OBURN. I think it'll be very very unique and very cool, being able to earn yield, and, you know, with the NFTs and everything. That sounds fantastic.
Well, I agree, and it's not just the NFTs that will earn yield.
Yeah.
Should we share?
It's up to you. All up to you. I was maybe going to touch on that because I do know a little bit about this, but yeah, it's up to you.
Let's see. Alpha. Yeah, we'll go ahead and give a little alpha. So,
woohoo!
Once our first treasury hits that mill, any other revenue that we receive from the ecosystem, and this includes from like our NFT rent marketplace for people who want to rent out their tier 3 NFTs to other protocols to boost their votes, towards, you know, partnerships with ecosystems or whatever form of revenue we may be generating, we're firing up a second treasury. This second treasury will farm as well 100% of the revenue will be distributed into a particular staking pool. Now, the fun thing about it is this staking pool, you can stake OBurn and just OBurn into it. You don't have to pair it with anything else. No deposit tax, no withdrawal tax. Every 24 hours you have it in there, you receive a drip of BUSD from the revenue that our treasury has generated. So it is real yield for the OBurn token. So even if you're not using the OBurn token to participate in burn wars, and you're just happily holding it for the price appreciation and supply deflation aspect, giving you a bigger percentage of the total supply, you can choose to plop it into that particular staking pool and earn real yield off of it based off the performance of our treasury, which is distributed based off your percentage of that staking pool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds a perfect little circle. You got the burning, so you can vote, and you also have the NFTs, and you also have the staking. That's fantastic.
It's super juicy. I mean, and if I hear this right, Cyril, it's basically like a special single staking pool for the native tokens that you get rewarded in stables.
Yep, it is. So
yeah, that's awesome. If you're just for, I guess, yeah, like the smaller projects, even, you know, like us, that'll be a perfect move, is to just like buy in and hold the tokens for the price appreciation, as well on top of that being able to earn yield. It's a pretty good deal.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like so all the protocols that we reached out to get them on board with the burn wars, right? When that particular mechanic comes out, we'll be able to go back to them, and we have quite an extensive list at this point, and say, hey, just so you're aware, we're about to launch this thing. Why don't you take a percentage of your treasury, purchase the OBurn token, and drop it into the staking pool to put your treasury to work, earning you more money. Meanwhile, the OBurn that you purchased, that you're holding in there, is gaining value due to the price appreciation and the supply deflation. So it's literally just a win-win-win across the board from multiple vectors.
Yeah, our portfolio has its eyes open right now, that's for sure.
It's given that double eyes look where it's like, ooh, oh,
yeah, exactly. The emoji, the eyes emoji, that's precisely what's going on.
Exactly. But yeah, so that is essentially our ecosystem in a nutshell. You know, we have the OBurn token, and that is what everyone is pretty excited about right now. And if you're okay with it, I'm going to go ahead and drop the pre-sale link in the AMA questions room.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem.
Sweet. So that link is in there. And then what, where are we at? Yeah, we just cracked 86,000 since we started the AMA. And we have, we've only been in the pre-sale right now for about 6 hours. I know we're still waiting on Great Finance to do their $10,000 buy, and several of the other protocols to do their buys as well. So it's, we're looking forward to it. I think we have a very realistic hard cap target of 350,000 in total. We're getting pretty damn close to our soft cap already. Nice. Yeah. So it's great stuff.
I want to comment too on that, Cyril. I think it's really important. I took notice of what you guys did with regard to bringing your hard cap down a little bit, and I think that's something that I found to be pretty sharp and I think a good move, and really to help continue the buy pressure after and when you guys go live. So I think that was, from what I observed, a really smart move.
Well, thank you. Yeah, initially we were going to have our hard cap at 650,000, and I'm looking at the market, I'm looking at the conditions, I'm looking at everything going on in the world, and I'm like, last thing I want to do is pull a liquid capital where you spend so much time in pre-sale and you raise $2 million that there's nobody left to buy when it launches, because you already got everybody in, you know?
Yeah.
It's a great example. Yep, that's a perfect example, actually.
Exactly. And honestly, the more that are rolling into post-launch, the bigger that mega buyback and burn pot gets, which incentivizes even more buying and voting. So, I mean, again, you have, with our 50K pot for starters, if you have another 500,000 roll in post-launch, instead of sitting there trying to collect it all in pre-sale, then now that buyback and burn pot is $100,000. First place would be getting 60,000.
Yeah, that's a big buyback and burn.
Yeah, dude. Even at a 50K, first place, the Kyoto, their K-Swap token would shoot up 40% in price from that $30,000 buyback and burn. You got protocols like Sphere. I mean, it's been like 2 days since I ran their XYK calculation, and I know they've been on a bit of a run the last couple days since they just released Dyson. But when I last calculated it, it would have been a 35% price impact. And this is a protocol that has 31,000 people in it, right? So that's huge.
That is huge. No, definitely. That's definitely a good impact and a positive impact as well. And just trying to help out other projects. It's super cool. Super nice to see as well. Just trying to, I guess, bring good things and positivity to the space and not trying to, I guess, just recycle money through different projects, things like that. So it's really cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and it benefits everybody, and that's what we were trying to make, right? Something that benefits our holders, benefits other protocols, benefits other protocols holders. Just everybody. Lift
everybody. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that in-depth explanation. I feel like we pretty much just learned everything about OnlyBurns in that short period of time, and I bet your brain is probably fried a little bit.
Well, I'm just... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You're pretty on it. I've been to one of your AMAs, and it's like you know, when you're on it, you just continue to roll through. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I had one protocol. They were like, "Can you send us a list of questions that you want us to ask you?" And I'm like, "Trust me, you're not going to need me to, but okay." Yeah, no. Side note though, like my brain, yeah, it's a little scrambled right now just due to lack of sleep and giving AMA after AMA. But honestly, I almost kind of thrive that way. And, I'm sitting here, my brain is itching to spill some more alpha, but like, we haven't even told our community about it yet. I think only the Embers Plus, holders know about it. And they're what's technically classified as a whale. They have 1.5 billion tokens or more. So.
Damn. Man, that's awesome. You're just working. But yeah, I feel that it's definitely awesome and kind of fun to be able to just go around different communities, chat, especially with the different founders, project leads, things like that, and just kind of go over what you're doing and share it with the world. So it's really cool.
Yeah, 100%. So I don't want to spend any more time talking about that. Let's take a look and see if there are any questions. Let's see. I see Serenity asked here, moving forward in the months to come, how much will be seeded into the burn wallet? Will that be based off treasury profits, or is it going to be a set amount? So March, we will precede it with a set amount. What that amount will be is not entirely determined yet, but it will be somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 to pre-seed at the beginning of March. And then, of course, you have the entire month of March, the buy volume to feed into that, right? Once our treasury mechanic is live, it will be entirely based off of revenue that the treasury generates. That way it is sustainable, it is perpetual, and it is ongoing. So, good question.
Yeah, great answer. That was really good.
Yeah, thank you. Now remember, folks, there is a prize in this AMA for people who are asking questions and randomly as well. So I think
if anybody wants to come up on stage as well, you can always raise your hand and come talk to us up here if you want to ask or talk or anything like that. But yeah, definitely if there's any questions, rip them down in AMA questions and we'll get to answering.
So I have a question with regard to the NFTs because those things look amazing, and I think the utility you described is fantastic. Is there a plan for hosting those anywhere in specific? I ask this as a biased guy from Vertec who's going to launch their NFT marketplace. So, any plans with regard to where is going to be the home?
Well, sort of. So we are actually developing a rent marketplace, which is essentially an NFT marketplace with a rental mechanic in it as well. Currently, rental marketplaces operate off of collateral. So, Doc, if you have a tier 3 NFT and Chrome wants to rent it from you, he would put up collateral, and then if he chooses, your NFT then goes into his wallet. And if he chooses not to return it, you get the collateral, which I'm sure is fine and dandy for profile picture NFTs. But when you have a very limited, only 250 in total NFT that not only has utility baked into it, but also revenue share, you don't want him to have the option to run away with it. So how do we rent it out? We're developing a new type of marketplace that essentially wraps the NFT. So, Doc, if you're renting it out, it would go into the rental contract. Chrome would receive a wrapped version that points to the same metadata, has the same voting power, but cannot collect your drip from the treasury revenue, and he can't run away with it. At the end of the rental period, which is 1 week increments, the wrapped version would leave his wallet, be pulled back to the rental contract, and when that enters back in, you receive your real NFT back in your hands, in your wallet. No risk of Chrome running away with it. Gotta watch his shiftiness. And that way you're able to rent with the peace of mind. And our marketplace is going to operate a little differently. Currently on like OpenSea, if you sell your NFT, or let's pretend that they had a rental mechanism, the fee that they charge comes out of what you're making off the sale. With ours, the buyer pays it, or the person renting it pays that fee. So if you're listing your tier 3 for $100 to be rented out for 1 week, and Chrome rents it from you, he's going to pay $115 to rent it.
Okay, I was just about to ask, like, how do you essentially like make money from the lending and borrowing, things like that? That's interesting. Okay.
Well, the cool thing about it is that we can onboard other protocols with utility NFTs to that, and we would not charge them for it. They would earn a percentage of that royalty fee for the rentals.
Oh, hint, hint, wink, wink. I see. Okay.
I have to tell you, I was worried about putting you on the spot with that question, but boy, what an amazing answer, Cyril! That was fantastic. That sounds really, really unique. What you guys are building, that's super cool.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, we and that, of course, any of the income generated from the rental marketplace feeds into those treasuries, which then feed into the ecosystem. So it's this beautiful flywheel effect where every product in our ecosystem benefits the rest of the ecosystem.
Nice. That's awesome.
Thank you. But yeah, and I see that Serenity asked another question.
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, I was going to ask, actually, you can maybe explain a little bit. You do have a little story, right?
We do. I was going to pretend that I didn't see it because I am very painfully aware of the fact that everyone is anticipating chapter 4 in the story, and I am way overdue on it, but I've been busy launching a whole protocol, so I hope that they can forgive me for that.
It's like a little bit of a running joke right now, just waiting for chapter 4.
Yes. Have you had a chance to read the first 3 chapters?
Sadly, no. I've been interested, though. Definitely interested.
Oh. Well, when you do, and when you find out, all I'm going to say is when you read about Christian Mills, feel free to come hit me in my DMs.
Okay, cool.
So yeah. So yes, we do have a story on our Medium. I know a lot of protocols use their Medium page to talk about their protocol, and I'm sure we'll do that in the future too. Maybe I'll have to spin up a second one for it, but our main one is for telling the lore behind our ecosystem, and it does tie into the NFTs. I know when you first start reading it, you're going to be like, how the hell does this tie into your NFTs? Trust me, it will make sense, I promise. It just won't make sense to you right now. But I hope you enjoy the read. I know that a content creator named Alex, you might know him as Yabonks, he read the story and he immediately hit me up in DMs and he said, dude, this reads like Stephen King. So I took that as a very high compliment, and it may have inflated my ego a tiny little bit.
No, that's really cool. I'm excited, actually. I'll probably try and take some time in the next few days so I can read that out.
Yeah. They're very short reads. Each chapter, I try to keep it under like a 6-7 minute read. I think the first chapter, if you have Medium read it to you, it takes like 5 minutes. Second one takes 6, and then I think the third one takes 7. So I try to keep them short. You know, you're having your morning squat on the porcelain throne, and you can just kind of read it, and then you're good to go by the time you're done. So
That's a good one. That's like perfect. You get your morning coffee, you hang out, you sit down, you can get caught up on the lore. That's really cool. I like that you took that route. That's pretty interesting. It's not something you see like a lot of other projects. I definitely have seen some in the past. I guess some haven't been like very cool, I guess, in my eyes, but I'm definitely interested for what you're doing there. I think it adds a little bit of special touch to it.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited to tell the story. I know exactly where I want it to go and how I want it to end, and it's definitely going to be a wild ride. So I look forward to narrating that mind space.
Cool. Can we expect to see some maybe videos, some narration videos or anything like that? Somebody talking over the story or?
Well, the very first chapter starts off with a video that is formatted exactly like an emergency announcement coming out across like the emergency broadcast system.
Oh, okay.
So we do sprinkle those occasionally throughout to help set the theme.
Nice. No, that's awesome. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Let's see. BTK asked me to touch more on the marketplace. I think we did. I think that was before I started talking about it. And then let's see, what kind of rental prices should we expect through the three tiers? That's entirely dependent on demand, right? I know usually if a project has multiple tiers of NFTs, whichever tier has the highest supply is usually the least in demand. However, I can't talk about it yet, but there is a mechanic that is going to ensure the demand for tier 1 is just as high, if not higher than tier 3. That's some alpha for you.
Nice.
I cannot talk about it yet at this time. I apologize. Like literally, I was supposed to be going to sleep last night, and instead I was sitting there in the Ember Plus room, blowing their minds with a new mechanic that would completely alter many different strategies for our ecosystem. So